Shalom, Kalalal, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect. Kwame Ashala and a Bible Bowl. This is Brother Gubari Allah coming back at you with another video/lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Lord willing, will be edifying. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Let's get it, So this is from antiwar.com. Links will be in the description, of course. And I just want to share this headline. Netanyahu vows to attack everywhere in Lebanon as Israel bombs private Beirut schools. And pretty much in this article, Benjamin Netanyahu, which is the Prime Minister of Israel today, he's making threats to attack private schools, man, where kindergartners and high schoolers from grade 9 to 12th grade are studying, man. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is just to show how despicable Amalek is. Really Amalek preys on the weak. And it reminds me of Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17 on down, which, Deuteronomy is one of the books of the law, right? That goes back to the Torah. It's going into the law, and it tells us specifically to remember what Amalek did, and it's telling us that the Lord remembers what Amalek did and how the Lord is against Amalek from generation to generation. But it just made me think about that, because when we were coming out of Egypt, Amalek attacked us, man. When we passed them, they actually just attacked us for no reason. It was unprovoked, and they were attacking us while our back was turned. And while they were attacking us, they were targeting the weak, the feeble, which represents children, pregnant women, people that are weak, that can't defend themselves. And that's what you see here, man. He's pretty much attacking people who can't really defend themselves. Children, man, cannot defend themselves. Let's be real. You as a grown man, why would you fight a child? Why would you fight a child? And they're saying that I'm gonna read. Actually, I'll just read it, but I'll read some of it. It says here, while Israel has launched hundreds of attacks on Lebanese territory since the ceasefire went into effect in November, they had so far only done flights over the capital city of Beirut. Today, however, they started attacking the capital again. Moments before the attack started, IDF spokesman Avichat Adre issued a statement in Arabic on Twitter, informing the area of imminent attack and ordering civilians to withdraw from at least 300 meters around the target, which was displayed in a satellite image along with its name. The area is smack dab in a residential neighborhood in the suburbs south of Beirut, and the target is actually a private school, kindergarten through 12th grade, called the Lycée des Arts, and neighboring buildings. And shows what looks like a very ordinary, very nice school with students participating in activities that would be very normal for such a place. Kindergarteners are shown finger painting, and the high school seniors had a bake sale in October to raise money for breast cancer. Lebanon's education and ministry responded by closing all public and private schools in the district for the day in recognition of the threat. They told teachers, staff, and students to stay away. So why is this school suddenly and specifically in Israel's crosshairs? So it says, as usual, Israel is using Hezbollah as an excuse. A subsequent tweet from Adre declared the target, which had explicitly been identified as Lycée des Arts in the first tweet, as Hezbollah's infrastructure used for storing drones. Israel offered no evidence that this literal school was full of attack drones, or indeed had anything to do with Hezbollah. The school's website, perhaps needless to say, doesn't show any drone either, just finger painting and such. So they're not even affiliated with Hezbollah or the war. And there's no evidence proving that. And they're attacking them, man. Right? So why target this school then? What's the point? It's because they're bloodthirsty and they like targeting the weak. Now let me get this. This is Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt. Yes, and you have to remember. Right? You have to remember. And that's why we go into this book, man. And that's why the scripture says in the book of Romans, the scriptures is written aforetime for our learning. You got to go back into the old past. You got to go back into the word. You got to go and study. And you got to look things up. And it's going to bring things back to remembrance. And that's why today we remember all these things. Well, we remember things more spiritually now, but we see things for what it really is. Right? We know who the enemy is. That's the Lord reminding us, through the scriptures. Anyways, man, so we have to remember who Amalek is and what he did to us. And who is Amalek? Amalek are you so-called Jews, man. You Khazarians. You Khazars. You Edomites. Yeah, and Amalek, you are the head tribe that comes out of the nation of Edom. And your forefather is Esau. And really you're a duke when you go back to Genesis the 36th chapter. So you're one of the dukes of Esau. A grandson, I believe. Now, it says here, verse 18, how he met thee by the way and smote the hindmost of thee. So we met this man and he attacked us. It was unprovoked. And then he smote us from behind, man. So he attacked us while our back was turned. So he sucker punched us, man. Even all that were feeble behind thee. Yeah, feeble. So you know what feeble means, the weak. And that falls under children. That falls under women, pregnant women especially, people who are actually weak, probably sick, mentally ill, or disabled. He attacked those people when thou was faint and weary. And that's when we were at our lowest and at our weakest. He just started attacking us, man. And he feared not the Most High. And he definitely did not fear the power of all powers, which is Yahweh. He didn't. And he should have. Because how did we get out of Egypt? We got out of Egypt through divine intervention. It was by a divine hand that led us out of Egypt. The divine hand being Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Right? And in the midst of all these nations too. It was miraculous, man. Parting the Red Sea. And then he made the Red Sea collapse on Pharaoh's chariots, man. And then Pharaoh and his chariots got sunken down to the bottom of the sea, man. That's divine, man. Hey, and even before getting delivered, going into the 9 plagues that was put on Egypt, or the 10 plagues. I think it was 10 or 9 plagues. I can't remember. But I think it was 9 to 10 plagues. I think it was 9 plagues. And those plagues fell on Egypt, man. Right? So that was all done by the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai. But he didn't fear those things, man. He didn't fear what happened in Egypt while we were there. And he definitely didn't fear when we were coming out. He didn't fear the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai. Now, I'm going to say this. The fool has said in his heart that there is no God. And somebody that says that there is no God, they definitely don't fear the Most High. Because if you don't acknowledge the Lord through fear, you're pretty much saying that he doesn't exist. And that's Amalek, man. Really, that's Esau, Edom, pursuant to Job the 30th chapter, because they were also called children of fools, and they were viler than the earth. So that's Esau, Amalek, which Edom. Right? Amalek comes out of Edom. But still, they were fools, and the fool will say, the fool has said in his heart that there is no Most High. So I can see that, they don't believe in the Lord. They don't believe how powerful he really is. They don't care about it. And we're seeing that today because what's going on with these so-called Jews today? They have taken our identity. They have stolen the identity of the Israelites. They have taken on a name that doesn't belong to them. And they have also stolen a land that doesn't belong to them, because they originally got that land back in 1948 through the British, going back to Winston Churchill and the Rothschild family. That's how they got the land. So really, the way they got the land, it wasn't from the Lord on how prophecy was supposed to fulfill in terms of how the Israelites were supposed to actually get that land. That was by man. That was by man. Now, I'm going to read verse 19. It says, "Therefore it shall be, when Yahweh Bashim Yoshai thy power hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which Yahweh Bashim Yoshai thy power giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Thou shalt not forget it." And that's true. And that is so true. And that's why later on, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, he told Samuel, I'm talking about the Lord, Yahweh, he told Samuel to tell King Saul that he's supposed to go and destroy Amalek. And he was reminding him it was because of what happened back when we were coming out of Egypt. Matter of fact, let me pull that up. This is 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. It says, "Samuel also said unto Saul, Yahweh Bashim Yoshai sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken unto thy voice of the words of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh of armies, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass." And yeah, that's what we're supposed to do because of what he did back then. Right? So so when we became more established, that's when the Lord told him, okay, now it's time for you to get revenge. Right? Get revenge. So we're not supposed to remember Amalek. We're not supposed to forget about Amalek. We're supposed to remember Amalek on what he did to us. Hey, and that still applies to this very day. I believe that's now that's for generation upon generation, or generation to generation. I'm going to pull it up here. This is Exodus chapter 17, verse 14. "And Yahweh said unto Moses, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." And that's going to happen. And that's going to play out in the near future. It didn't play out in the time of King Saul because, it just wasn't set up. Because Amalek, the devil, had more things to do on the earth. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Right? So, but I'm just saying, Amalek had more work to do on the earth. So it wasn't time for him to really be destroyed yet. Because when you go into 1 Samuel 15, the chapter, when you read on down, you see King Saul's rebellion. He rebelled against the instructions of Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, and he just did his own thing. He ended up sparing the Amalekite king. And that triggered the anger of Yahweh Bashim Yoshai. And really, that's when you saw King Saul begin to wax worth. But still, it wasn't time. But now we're coming into that time where Amalek is about to be blotted out. And you're going to see that real soon. Anyways, let me get this. So it says, verse 15, "And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. For he said, Because the Lord Yahweh has sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." And that's what we're seeing playing out throughout the different books. The Lord revisiting that oath that he made. Hey, and that oath is still valid, man. Okay, you Amalekites, you're not gonna get away. You're not gonna get away. But yeah, man, I just thought I'd bring this article out. That's what I was thinking of. Anyways, the next one is from ZeroHedge.com. It says, "Israel on the brink of civil war as judicial overhaul bill progresses." Yeah, and this is a political struggle, and the nation is divided over this. It says here, several ultra-controversial issues have come to head in Israel this week, sparking more huge protests outside the country's Knesset and in various locations. Israel's blue and white party leader, Benny Gantz, is warning alongside former Israeli army chief of staff Gadi Eisenkot, and former Prime Minister Ehud, which is really Ahawad. That's how you pronounce it, Ahawad. Right, Ahawad was a judge in Israel. Ahawad was actually a very serious judge too, and he killed Eglon. I think it was the Moabite king. He put a dagger. He stabbed him up with a dagger, man, in his fat ass belly. Now it says Ahawad Almer that Israel is on the brink of civil war. The mounting crisis was sparked by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissing Shin Bet's chief Ronin Bar. It's true that there are many security challenges from abroad, but Israel's security is at risk because of internal division. Gantz said at the start of the week. There are moves to also dismiss Attorney General Gali Baharav Mira by Netanyahu after a no-confidence vote by the cabinet. This has outraged opposition parties and much of the population. Alongside this, the deeply divisive judicial appointments bill will soon be voted on. Now, these are all the people protesting out there. Let me play this. Thousands protest out of Israeli Knesset ahead of a final voting on a law that would further politicize the selection of Supreme Court judges. Here we go. Yeah, it's just there's no sound. It's just showing you the people protesting, and they're angry. So, since I mentioned that, man, let me get this. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. And I wish I knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. But yeah, the point is, in verse 26, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Yeah, man, kingdom isn't a kingdom if everybody isn't on the same page. Kingdom is when the people of that nation agree to things with one consent. And they're not doing that, man. They're divided. And that shows that they're not going to stand for too long. And that's why they're telling you it's on the brink of a civil war. Right? So they're going to have to do something. So, this also proves you're not the true Jews, going into Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Because, the prophecy is that there's going to be no more wars on the earth when the true Jews are in power. And there's definitely not going to be any war in their land. Right? Right along with no wars being on the earth. Right? But that's not the case. You guys claim to be the true Jews. You guys got the land back in 1948 through the Balfour Declaration, through the British government and the Rothschild family, which the Rothschild family is an elite banking family, top elite banking family. So that was all designed by man. That wasn't set up by Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. I'm talking about prophecy in terms of how the true Jews were to come into power. So you guys are fake, man. You're false, right? It's a scam. So who are you? This is Revelation chapter 2 and 9, and it says, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And that's twofold. It applies to Israelites, and it applies to you other nations, like you Khazars. The blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. And that is blasphemy. Because the true Jews, the true Israelites, they go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hey, you Khazars, man, you guys go back to Esau. And the Lord, he didn't make a covenant with Esau. He made the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And his descendants. Hey, and you saw that covenant going into Exodus, the 24th chapter. When Moses and the children of Israel, Mount Sinai, they all came together and with one consent, they said, hey, we're going to serve Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. Hey, that doesn't apply to you Edomites. Yeah, but you are the synagogue of Satan, man. You guys dress up in those black robes. You wear them Sherry Temple curls. You wear them black hats. You kiss the Wailing Wall. And really, you guys are into the Talmud, man. You're into the Kabbalah. You're into Satan worship, really. Because that's who you really worship. So you guys are wicked, man. You're not the true people. You're not the true people. This is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? That's right. And covered the faces, the judges thereof, goes into iconoclasm especially, and also you taking on another nation's identity, man. That's what you've done. So that shows you are the wicked. You are the wicked, man. You're imposters, man. You've stolen the identity of the true Jews. Serious, man. So yes, you are the wicked and you are empowered. The earth is given into your hand by who? Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai, of course. Pursuing to Revelation, the 28th chapter and the 5th verse on down. Right? Because you were set up to deceive the nations, man. Right? And you did it. You did it. You did a very good job. Especially you Amalekites, man. Let me get this. This is Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow onto it. Hey, man, certain people can't even go in the nation of Israel. A lot of these nations, they don't even like Israel. They really don't. Verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and you will teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai from Jerusalem. Yeah, and nobody's doing that. Nobody wants to go to Israel. A lot of people want to bomb Israel. Man, they're bringing up, what's his name, Benjamin Netanyahu, up on criminal charges, man. That's the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court. They're trying to arrest that guy. So they don't want to have anything to do with Israel and its leadership, or in general. That's not playing out right now. And people aren't definitely not going up to Israel and saying, let us go worship Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai. Let's serve that power. They're not doing that right now. You know why? Because you're not the true people. Now it says verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Come on, man. This ain't playing out. If you were the true Jews, how come this isn't happening? Huh? What's going on, man? You want to bomb schools schools in Lebanon, Beirut, and you're saying that they're storing drones in that school. Hey, man, that's a new type of warfare too. Drone warfare, nuclear warfare. Hey, all these new types of warfare are being invented. Right? It's no longer conventional. It's different. But yeah, man, this is not playing out. What's going on? What's going on? So are you telling me that the scriptures is wrong? That the Lord is lying? No, I think you're the liar. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. What's the light of the Lord? The law, statutes, and commandments. Proverbs 6:23. And you guys are definitely not pushing the light. You definitely are not bringing the light. You know what you're bringing? You're bringing darkness. You're bringing darkness. Because a lot of you don't want to call on the name of the Heavenly Father. A lot of you Khazars, man. Hell, you don't even want to bring forth the real laws. You don't. You get that. Proverbs 6:23, man. Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. There you go. And you ain't bringing the real law, the divine law. You ain't doing that. So you guys are imposters. You guys are frauds. Bunch of frauds. So it says, therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they replenish from the east and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves and the children of strangers. But yeah, man, that was the point. Anyways, man, I hope this was edifying. Until next time, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah HaChodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS to USA. Shalom, and shalom unto the hopeful elect. Kwame Ashala and Ababa Ball. Shalom.